Hello everyone, welcome into episode 6 of the Ash Bros Gaming Podcast. My name is Ash and as ever I'm delighted to be joined by my co-host Ash. Hello mate.
Hello, Ash, mate. How are you?
How are things? I'm good mate, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very excited for another podcast episode.
As always, we're loving this, aren't we? We're really enjoying it, getting
Absolutely,
stuck
mate.
in. And things are going well, things are going good, people are enjoying it, you know, with the feedback that we've got from people has been really positive. And so long may it continue. We're hoping to keep developing the podcast. We've got another segment in the podcast that we've got in today, an exciting one. It's going to be a bit of fun. So we'll get into that. But with regards to today's episode, as we spoke about in the last episode, we asked you guys to let us know what you think makes a perfect game. Because today we're going to be talking about, in our opinions, what makes the perfect game, if it's possible to even make the perfect video game. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the FIFA 23 World Cup mode because we did ask for some of your reviews from last episode, and you guys reached out to us as well. We got a lot of good stuff coming your way. But over to you, Ash. I'm going to throw it out. You've been up to much this week? It's been 2 weeks actually since we last did
2 weeks,
an episode.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, which kind of just we didn't really communicate very well, did we? Actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I think our schedules didn't line up exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
great.
yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, 2 week break. Been playing some good games that we're going to be talking about, I think, today.
Yeah. We played a bit of Warcraft together as well, haven't we?
We've played a lot of
Bit of
Warcraft
Civ.
together, to be fair. A bit of Civ together, yeah.
Yeah.
We've had some good times, you know.
We have. Just not recorded a podcast together.
No, apart from that, yeah. But
No.
we're getting stuck in today, so we're going to make up for it, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
We certainly are. So, first things first, before we get into the meat of our episode today, obviously just want to let you guys know that you can find us on a couple of social media platforms, obviously YouTube. We've got our own YouTube channel, which at the moment we're just posting kind of clips from the podcast. If you want to catch up on them, find them and stuff, you can get that. That is the Ash Bros Gaming Podcast. We can also find the full episodes, video episodes, on my personal YouTube, which is Brommer18. And you can also find us on Twitter, Ash Bros Podcast, as well as our website, which is also theashbrospodcast.com. So there's a lot of places that you can find us. Please do. All the links will be in either the descriptions of the video or the podcast, etc., timestamps and all that good stuff. So please do go and check this out. And also, we should mention, as we have done in the previous episode, that we are currently supporting Movember for the month of November. Obviously, any audio listeners, you won't be none the wiser, but for people watching the video versions, you'll notice that, well, I've got a tash. I don't know about you, Ash.
I do.
We can't actually see each other right now.
No, we can't. No, I've got. I don't know if you can call it a tash, to be honest. It's. I don't know. Yeah, I've got some hair above my mouth, so I guess that counts.
I went to get a haircut a few days ago, and the guy started trimming my moustache, like, and yeah, but like, so I had no knowledge that he was going to do it. Like, he just caught me off guard, and so he'd done the one half, and so by the time obviously I realised what's going on, and I'm going to be like, "Oh, stop!" I was like, "Well, no, I can't ask him to stop, can I? Because half my moustache is going to be like shaved,
It could be like half.
and the other's going to be overgrown." Yeah, so I had to let him go on with it. So like, even though I've still got it, my progress has been hindered.
Oh dear.
So I'm a bit annoyed about that.
I think you're better at growing facial hair than me, to be fair. You've
yeah,
always had a strong beard, and me, I've always gone with like the clean shaven look. So
yeah,
this is something new for me.
I think clean shaven suits you better though, and I think facial hair suits me better. Like when I'm clean shaven, I don't think it looks quite right.
Yeah, but no, it's it's coming along in some form.
Still a couple of weeks to go. Well, just under a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
So as we're saying, we are supporting Movember. It's where, for anyone who doesn't know, for the month of November, you grow a moustache. And what it does is it's a charity. It's to help raise awareness of this charity for a lot of things: men's health, depression, mental health, suicide prevention, testicular cancer, prostate cancer, all that stuff. It's really prominent for me at the moment. As of recording this, just over the last weekend, one of my childhood heroes, Jason David Frank, he was an actor, martial artist, used to act in Power Rangers, which, as you probably remember, Ash, that was like my thing as
Yeah,
a
I
little lad.
remember. Yeah,
He took his own life. 49 years old. It's no age, and this is why we do things like that, because ultimately, on my channel, for example, people are saying to me in the comments like, "Oh, mate, you need to shave this tash." Obviously, unaware of kind of Movember and stuff, and then I'll reply to them saying it's for Movember, etc. It raises that awareness, and this is why
exactly.
we're doing it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And it's a
like,
super important cause because it's such a tragedy when anyone takes their own life.
yeah,
Um,
and there's
it's
obviously that thing around men, that stigma of they can't open up and
exactly that.
stuff.
We don't talk to each other enough.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to encourage, really. Just start the conversation.
exactly. Like, I put a tweet out after it had happened to, you know, obviously followers and subscribers and stuff, and left the link of Movember. And there was like I looked at the analytics of it, and there was a few people who clicked the link, and it's like, well, even if one person clicked that link, that's a success.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So yeah, a cause that's definitely important to us. So yeah, we are currently growing it. We'll leave the links to that in the description as well. You'll find all sorts of stuff. You can not only donate, but it's also trying to raise awareness of reaching out to people, um, talking to people. Also for the physical illnesses, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, have a feel, rummage around, get the check, all that stuff. Again, the stigma surrounding it, just by the bullet. It's honestly, there is no stigma really. It's just what you develop in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just
So yeah,
have a feel.
yeah, precisely. So yeah, really important cause to us. Please do go and have a look at, and again, just explaining the tashes that you may or may not see in the video versions as well. So with that being said, I think we're ready to get into our kind of big topic for the day. It's a special topical episode. We reached out to you guys last week, or the week before, I should say, last episode, and asked you what you think makes a perfect game. If there is a perfect game for you, what are you looking for? What elements? Is it kind of genre? Is it features? Um, all sorts of stuff, all sorts of stuff. So we are going to talk about your reviews. But first, we're obviously going to have our own discussions for it, with you, Ash. I mean, we kind of have mentioned this off screen a bit. I think the thing that first and foremost we said when it comes to if it is possible to make the perfect game, or if you could play a game that you think this is perfect, I absolutely love it. The first thing, absolutely, that we have to mention, it's a shame we have to mention really, is it needs to be or have minimal bugs.
Yeah, I mean, look at Cyberpunk's release. That, in principle, is a
Yeah,
fantastic game, but the form it came out in was unplayable because
yeah,
of the bugs. That just
and
shows how important that feature is.
yeah, and it's becoming basically a fashion to release unfinished games so you can get them out quicker, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then they can be like, oh, well, we'll just churn out patches and stuff a few months down the line, which isn't good enough,
no,
really.
exactly. People are
You know,
paying, 40, 50 quid.
and the rest,
They deserve a finished
yeah,
game.
a full product.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, it's a shame we have to mention that, but I think that's the first thing. Look, it doesn't have to be entirely bug free, because I appreciate that sometimes you'll just miss the occasional bug, you know? Sometimes, like might be mine, I think, like even in playtesting, you might have like 100 QA testers in a development team, even 50, 20 QA testers, whatever it may be. And they might just find something. They might just miss something. 100 QA testers aren't going to find a bug when it comes to. Oh, I've not explained this well at all. But what I'm trying to say is, if say like 1 million people buy a game, you're more likely to find bugs than what 100 people are playtesting it.
it's impossible to pick up on every single thing just from like a small team of testers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I appreciate that some small stuff will probably slip through the cracks. So it doesn't have to be necessarily completely bug free. It just has to be like minimal bugs, something that you
yeah.
don't notice too much,
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't
so
hinder your gameplay.
like a couple of bugs are okay if they're not game breaking. Like for
Yeah,
me, I look at Bethesda games, and some of the bugs in like Skyrim and stuff are kind of humorous and actually give the game a bit of character sometimes.
yeah,
If they're little silly things, But with Cyberpunk, they were game breaking, and they literally made the game unplayable. And
Oh yeah.
you can't have that in your game like that. That literally just makes it unplayable. You can't play a game like that.
I mean, I held off for over a year before playing that game, and then when they released the next gen or the current gen update patch, because that's how bad it was.
Yeah, yeah. It was terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
Um. So yeah, so we've got that. Obviously, I'll throw it over to you a bit, Ash. Is there anything in particular? I mean, you've kind of seen my list of stuff. Is there
I'm
anything
looking
on
at the
there
list,
before I go into
and
it?
there's one thing that definitely isn't on that list that is important to me, and that's your character development. So leveling up, gaining new skills, investing in a skill tree, upgrading abilities. Um,
So to kind of put this a little bit wider, would that mean then that for a game to be perfect for you personally, it would have to be like an RPG?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, really, I think. Or to have some sort of leveling up
Progression
process
system,
where
yeah.
you're upgrading a character. So yeah, if you're playing as a character,
So if it was a
yeah,
real-time strategy game,
yeah,
couldn't be
then
perfect for
then
you.
it couldn't be perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
because yeah, I think that's
No,
correct.
but no, this is good because this is. I want to kind of touch on this a bit later, but
Yeah, for me, the perfect game is an RPG that I can, because in my experience, those are the games where I've really just got lost in. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Just got lost. I love RTSs. I love, the occasional FPS. I love different types of games, but definitely my favorite type of game is the role playing games that I've just lost so much
yeah.
time into.
hmm
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, I think my kind of list really plays into that. Because I've spoken about meaningful choices.
yeah, big one for me as well.
Yes, because that's really what's gonna kind of immerse you and impact you, in my opinion.
And it makes you feel important in the story because you're
Yeah,
changing, the direction of things.
which can still be done in all sorts of like RTS games and all that stuff, and like you do have meaningful choices. Like it doesn't have to be RPG, does it?
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. For me, when I'm looking at that, though, I'm thinking I'm part of a world and I can direct the change of this world,
Yeah,
sort of thing. Um, that for me is like closing in on the perfect game.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then with that meaningful choices, you get different endings,
yep,
which again, because that it's not only like the thrill of like, oh, I've been able to make these choices and it's dictated the end. It's also the fact of replayability.
I was.
Like
You stole the
the
word out of my mouth. Yeah, I was gonna say another one to add on to this list is replayability, 100%. Because I have played great games in the past, but you play them once and then, they go in the bin, or, you
yeah,
never look at them again. That
D-
cannot be a top tier game for me.
yeah.
To be a top tier game, I keep coming back and keep coming back and, creating another character or developing that character even further. Like that is, again, that closes in even further on that perfect game.
Now this is because obviously we've kind of spoken about meaningful choices, different endings and stuff. We spoke recently on the podcast about games like God of War,
Yep.
for instance, which are kind of that more linear progression, linear storyline. And obviously these are highly popular games, really well received, massive sales numbers, but they don't offer that.
No.
And the thing is, I think for us, or at least for me, like that kind of limits my desire to play it a little bit.
Same. I mean, I totally appreciate what it does because it nails the combat, the gameplay. That's what it focuses on, and it
Yeah,
does tell a story. It tells a great
yeah, yeah,
story as well. But for me, personal enjoyment in a game, a big element of that is having my own character,
yeah,
making my own choices, and yeah, having like the freedom to do that. But
yeah.
that's not for everyone. And
No, 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 absolutely. I mean,
yeah, I do completely appreciate how good the God of War games are.
yeah.
100%.
And with those meaningful choices in mind, something else I've got on my list is dialogue, being able to choose what you say. I think they kind of go hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, poor dialogue can really ruin your immersion, can't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And just being able to kind of pick what you say. Now, some games you are able to pick what you say, but it isn't good because, say for example, the Pokemon games have started doing this recently. The last like couple of iterations, Sword and Shield, Arceus. You'll occasionally get like an option to say something, and you might get like one or two different dialogue options. Um, but they're kind of both the same thing in different
ah,
words, and they lead to
yeah,
exactly the same like place. And
pointless.
that for me is kind of unfulfilling. Like the
Yeah,
dialogue has got to be interchangeable, feel natural, lead to different paths. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. I mean, absolutely. One thing I would say for like Fallout New Vegas, um, some of the dialogue options you could either like be rude and be
Yeah,
like a dick, or you could like be helpful. Um, and the reaction of the character would change based on that. But it still ended up that, they gave you the same quest, which is fair enough. And I think that still has that value of sort of immersing yourself in this character that you're developing. You're even developing its personality, right?
yeah,
Like if you want to be a dick in this game, you can, and you can choose these options, and
precisely.
the responses will treat you like that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's allowing again for the meaningful choices and things
Yeah,
along those lines, and just more immersion. Everything about it really kind of changed the complexion. Like the best way, so the best way to um, what am I looking for? Kind of like signify this, and my kind of attitude towards this is I'd never enjoyed the Assassin's Creed games at
okay,
all,
yeah,
and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey gets revealed, and all of a sudden your character's got dialogue options, chooses what you can choose what he says or she says, and you can alter the endings and the path based on that, and then I bought that game.
yeah,
So that was what basically changed my mentality towards Assassin's Creed and be like, yes, I want this now. Even though for original Assassin's Creed fans, they're going to look at that and be like, well, this isn't Assassin's Creed.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? You've
Because
kind of got that clash.
well, it's different tastes, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
for us two, I think Assassin's Creed at its base level, the games before Odyssey, uh, again, like God of War, the gameplay was smooth. It was great. You
yeah,
felt really awesome, like with the combat and stuff. But for me and you, I don't think that's enough.
no,
I think for us to really, really enjoy a game and want to invest time, we need these elements of like developing a character and making choices and talking to people and like
yeah,
immersion, being immersed in a
yeah.
world.
And again, it's not to say that we don't enjoy those games because, well, as you'll find out a bit later on, well, at least me, for instance, I've been playing a game that's kind of that linear progression kind of thing. But it for us, if it's to be perfect, if it's to be something that's going to truly blow us away, it has to have that freedom.
Yeah, exactly. That
Yeah.
freedom and that development. Yeah,
Um. So on top of that, we've got kind of bug free. We've got meaningful choices, dialogue. We've got that character development that you mentioned, progression.
yeah,
Also looking at story, absolutely massive for me. Storytelling is uh, probably number one. Like, I'm more likely if a game has all these kind of dialogue options and choice and stuff, and the story is terrible, I won't continue to play it.
mm,
Whereas if there's a game that has this brilliant story but it's linear, I'm more likely to play that one instead over the game with the bad story.
yeah,
So for me, this is absolutely massive. What do you reckon, mate?
yeah. I agree. Like it's it's just utterly pointless if you're not invested in a good story. I'd
Yeah,
rather I'd rather like play through a predetermined story that's actually good than
Yeah.
pick a bad story.
Yeah, well, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of the reason, well, it's one of the things that, well, again, I mentioned a bit earlier, like World of Warcraft and stuff. Like, obviously, that is rich in lore and story. Um, and it's kind of one of the reasons we keep coming back, isn't it? Sorry, I've
Yeah.
knocked my mic there. But in recent times, obviously, the story's dipped and stuff,
Hmm.
and people have dropped off as a result. And that's what I think. Story for most people is going to be absolutely like one top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's sort of the goal, one of the goals of the game, isn't it? To learn more about the story, and that's what you're
Yeah,
playing through. So it's motivation to actually play the game in the first place.
yeah.
So it's pretty, it's at the core of why you're playing the game is the world and the story.
And again, obviously, there's some games that have like no story at all. Like, like you're playing like a first-person shooter game, for instance. At least
Yeah,
if you're playing online, games like FIFA and stuff. But although even like with FIFA or Football Manager or whatever, if you're playing like the offline mode, like career mode and stuff, you're doing a 7 Football Manager. There kind of is a story there,
yeah,
right?
you're
Isn't it?
you're
Because like
making a
it's
story,
your
aren't
own
you?
story. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, 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 for sure. But
So even that,
yeah, but even if like Call of Duty multiplayer, that's not really a story. I mean, it's one team against the other, but you
yeah,
can
exactly.
still, whilst we're saying, story is at the core of why we enjoy games, there is a place definitely in,
Oh,
for
100%.
a
Yeah,
genre. You can just chill out and enjoy an experience of gameplay.
yeah,
Yeah. But for
um,
me, that's just not enough
yeah.
for like, the
To
gaming
make it to
experience.
like blow you away.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can enjoy it, but it won't be like, oh, this is just top of the list,
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And the only thing, the final thing on my list is open world.
Yep, I agree.
This will come up a little bit later when we talk about a game that I've been playing. But this really allows for true freedom for me. And obviously a lot of games don't have open world. A lot of games are very different to this, but if you have all these kind of meaningful choices and dialogue and stuff, it just seems the natural evolution of that to then have an open world that you can roam around and do as you please and play in your own time.
Absolutely.
And it also, like, games that are going to blow you away the most, part of that might or will most likely be because of like this wide open scale map and stuff and how brilliant it is and that.
Hmm. Yeah, for
And
sure.
so, yeah, open world for me, massive. How about you?
Oh yeah, 100%. It opens up like new methods of gameplay as well, like exploration, finding like little hidden parts of the map, like
Yeah.
finding hidden treasures. There's so much it opens up in terms of like different things you can do. I mean, theoretically, you don't even have to play the game. You can just explore the map if it's
Yeah, yeah,
open, if in
100%.
open world. Like it opens up so many doors.
I think it quite. That's a great point. It opens up so many doors because it basically opens up the game to you. Because the best way I'll look at it is an example I just thought of is like the Forza games.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the driving games. You have just Forza Motorsport, which is where you drive the cars on the track and do the races and stuff. But then you have Forza Horizon, which obviously you're doing racing and stuff and driving cars, but you also have the open world. You can drive around the world and do various stuff and that. And that's why I enjoy the Horizon games much more
Yeah.
than Motorsport because it opens it up to you.
100%. Yeah.
So we've obviously like got bug free, meaningful choices, dialogue, well developed story, open world. We've got character development, progression. We've basically just described, The Witcher 3, Skyrim,
Yeah.
you know, Fallout.
Most of our like top five picks. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
There is a clear trend here.
Absolutely.
Um, but this is like that. I think this is why, because those games have hit us so much. This is why those elements are going to be in our perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Makes
They're
sense.
like games
Absolutely.
obviously me and you, like we've played hundreds and thousands of hours into like a game like Football Manager, for instance.
Yeah.
But and we love it, but it doesn't make us go, oh, this. I don't know. It's really tough to explain now.
Well,
I've
it's
kind of
just
gone wandering down a path there, and
no, but like it's just doesn't quite scratch that gaming experience uh
yeah,
itch, you know?
it
Like,
doesn't. It basically doesn't make you go, wow, this is game of the year.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's that wow factor, isn't it?
yeah,
Like, some of my early memories of World of Warcraft, like, just wow, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Pardon the
being
pun.
absolutely spotted that one.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, like, being this, like, small character just loading in, just doing tasks for people, and then first time walking into the first city you encounter, and it's
yeah.
just so grand and massive, and the music comes on, and it's just one of those unique experiences that you don't
Hmm.
get with like Football Manager and stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
100%.
yeah. So
So we asked you guys to reach out to us, and let us know what you kind of felt wouldn't, if a perfect game is possible, what it would need. And so we got a lot of feedback. So thanks a lot for you guys for reaching out. First one comment I want to talk about is one from Love Ray. I think it's Love Ray.
yeah, love Ray.
Regular viewer of the channel. Uh, they say a perfect game has fun gameplay, a well written story in which the players have choices, have an actual impact in how it plays, and it doesn't have to be graphically amazing, but it needs to have good art direction. So a lot of those things were kind of obviously what we said. Now, annoyingly, I can't believe we missed this, but he hit the nail straight ahead. Fun gameplay. We didn't actually
Yeah.
mention that, did we? Like, if you're playing a game like like Skyrim or whatever, if the combat isn't, oh well, I mean Skyrim's not a great example because I don't think the combat's
No, it's not
brilliant,
amazing. No,
really.
no.
But yeah, if it's bad, really
Yeah.
bad, and you're like, oh, I can't deal with this,
Then you're not gonna play it,
then
are
obviously
you?
you're not going to
Yeah.
play, are you?
No,
No.
exactly. So
Yeah, like if you played a driving game or whatever, and you're like, oh, this driving's terrible, it's gonna be like, yeah. So yeah, definitely hit the
gameplay
nail on the head
important
there.
in a game. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. I
Yeah.
can't believe we missed that. That is shocking.
Yeah. Well, I play games like Fallout New Vegas, which the gameplay is really, really dated, and honestly, it really isn't
Yeah.
the best. But
But in that case, you're playing that more because of the nostalgic memories. Like when you first played it, obviously it would have been a few years ago. It wasn't as dated as what it is now.
yeah, but I feel
You know
like,
what I mean?
yeah, I just feel like the other elements are so strong that
They
the
overpower it.
bad the
Yeah.
bad gameplay doesn't bother me as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's a limit. Like if the gameplay was just atrocious, then yeah, it becomes unplayable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it is definitely an important point.
We had another comment from Jeremy Wilson, another regular on the channel. Thanks for reaching out, Jeremy. He says, perfect game to me is pretty simple. The game should be playable with minimal issues, and those minimal issues should actually be fixed by the developers in their patches. There is a lot of other good things that go into the perfect game, but I don't care how many like bells and whistles it has. If it doesn't function properly and the developers don't make an honest attempt to make it function properly, it doesn't matter. Really good point. Again,
Yeah,
kind of links into that gameplay element, doesn't it?
it sounds like the bare minimum. Like the game should work. The game
Yeah.
I'm playing should work. But honestly, it's true because as we've said, the culture at the moment is to just
Yep.
shove out these unfinished products. So it's a really good
100%.
point. But yeah, like you should expect a functioning game
Such a
when you
shame that
buy
we have to
something.
mention this. It's a joke, isn't it?
It really shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the point about the bells and whistles as well. Like, it needs to do
Yeah.
what it does well before it adds on like all these fancy little things.
Yeah, yeah. Fine tune and stuff.
Exactly at its core, because that's what Blizzard does really well, and I think that's partly why they're so successful with their games. Um, Obviously Blizzard's Activision now, but I'm talking about sort of
Yeah.
Hearthstone, Diablo.
Yeah.
Um, what they do, that they know their identity for all their games, and they do the basic concepts of the game really well, and then once that's like
before branching
sorted,
out.
then they start adding stuff on. But the
Yeah,
basics they just really polish.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's a big important thing as well.
yeah,
Make sure the core of your game is solid before you start adding, you know, stuff
yeah.
on.
Another comment from Flo who said, "What a perfect game for me is fun factor plus balance. Balance is a really nice one. I think we kind of cover that. Overall, like balance to me is like um not going in one direction too much. So, for example, with a game that I'm going to mention a bit later on, I won't say what it is for now. Too much focus on combat and not enough on other elements that could have benefited the game. Like, that's what balance is to me. Would you
Mm.
agree with that? Would you?
Well, I think balancing, you can apply balance to a lot of stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
I guess the first thing I thought of was like multiplayer balance, like making sure one thing's not ridiculously overpowered
Well, yeah,
so
that's
that
another
everyone
great point.
picks
Yeah.
it.
Well,
And
Flo could have
it,
meant that. To be fair, I might have gone a completely
uh,
wrong
but
direction.
both points are valid. You know, there's a lot of balance is really important in all aspects. You know, and also even in single player experiences, if one thing is so much better than the other, then it's pointless having any of the other options because it is going to feel awful to pick like a suboptimal option when you know you could pick something else and be doing so much better,
Yeah,
but you're trying to have fun picking this
yeah,
like, suboptimal option, but it's like, oh, well, I might as well just pick the unfun, good option.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, absolutely as well. Like, you need to balance out your features and like the different parts of the gameplay, right?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, one of the reviews we have is from Adam, who's another regular on the channel. Got a list of 5 things here. Most of them we've spoken about, but the one at the end is the one I want to mention here, and particularly get your thoughts on this, Ash.
Yep.
He says engaging gameplay, kind of talk about obviously
Yep.
interesting, well delivered story,
Important.
good art direction, which is something that who was it who previously said it? Love
Is
Ray
it
said it.
Lovray? Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to have like blow away graphics if the art direction is right. So like with
Exactly.
a
It's
game that might have like a retro style, for instance.
exactly an art
Yeah,
style that they've gone with and just polished. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Immersive world.
Yep.
And then finally, just want to get your point on consistency. And he says a lot of games, particularly Bethesda, have a philosophy of put your best foot forward where they start faction quest lines strong, then fall off, but the player will likely still finish them because the strong start got them invested
Mm.
in the story. I want to get your thought on that. What do you think about that point about the Bethesda kind of quest lines and stuff? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that?
It's an interesting thought. I've never thought of it like that. Um, I think I mean, I'm thinking of the Civil War in Skyrim.
Yeah,
Definitely applies to that. Like, it starts off obviously you're meeting the leaders and they're like, trying you out for different stuff, and then it gradually evolves into take over this camp, take over this camp, take over this camp, take over this camp, until you get
yeah,
to the climax of taking over the capital.
yeah,
So it can get a bit samey, but I think that's like unfortunately, it's just a natural thing for developers to want to drag people into a story with a strong opening. And then, I mean, sometimes you just don't have the resources with all the
yeah,
stuff they're doing to keep the strength all the way through.
yeah.
Um, I don't think it's like criminally bad, but I do think that that point's
But it
valid.
is there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah,
Suppose it
it's
depends
a
on the
really interesting
storyline, wouldn't
one.
it? Like, like
Yeah,
Dark Brotherhood, for instance. I thought that kind of that that did get good as you went along, like that.
yeah. I was thinking, yeah, Dark Brotherhood doesn't doesn't decline in my opinion, but definitely for some of them, I can see sort of really strong openings, and then you're sort of doing the same task over and over until
Yeah,
they usually do a good like climax at the end, but the journey to the end can be poor in some cases
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, it's an
So
interesting one.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's really it for the reviews. Thanks a lot for reaching out to us, guys.
Yes, thank you very much.
A lot of really good stuff. So I think overall, in conclusion, basically what makes a perfect game for me and Ash is like, this open world role playing game. Choose your dialogue, preferably pick your character if possible. But obviously, doesn't happen in The Witcher. Developed story, meaningful choices, different endings, kind of progression through character development. Assigning abilities and traits, gaining more stuff as you level up and stuff. That's kind of our thing, our jam.
That's our jam,
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Open world RPG by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and probably single player.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Although if they wanted to add a multiplayer mode to, The Witcher, Skyrim, I won't say no.
I won't say no.
Yeah. If it's done right,
If it's done right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, so that was good. That was.
Yeah, that was a good. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, really enjoyed that.
Really interesting feedback as well.
It is, yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate you for reaching out to us. We want you to keep reaching out to us. As we said, get us on YouTube. You can find us either on my YouTube channel, Broma18, BROMA18, or on the Ash Bros Podcast YouTube channel. You can also find us on Twitter, again, Ash Bros Podcast. You can get us on our website, www.ashbrospodcast.com. And yeah, reach out to us, any kind of feedback, any questions, feel free to get us and let us know. Really appreciate that. And
get involved with the conversation. Let's get it.
Please do. Moving on from one set of reviews to the other, not only did we ask you guys to let us know what makes your perfect game, but also we wanted your thoughts on the FIFA 23 World Cup DLC mode, because that has been released over the last couple of weeks. The World Cup, as of recording this, has now begun, so it is kind of in full swing. And it's fair to say, me and you, Ash, were pretty down on it, weren't we?
Yeah. The lack of completely different Ultimate Team version was really disappointing, to be honest.
Yeah. And that has, really, really disappointed us. And I think it's fair to say that has been reciprocated in your reviews, because if we have a look through some of the reviews from you, we got Adam again, who said got bored after one game.
Says
that
it
really
all,
tickled
doesn't
me
it?
a little bit. Yeah, that tickled me, that one.
That's amazing.
We've also got Zeusy Moosey, who said it's bare bones and centered around Foot, Ultimate Team, and already forgetting about it.
I did. I did dip into Ultimate Team just to have a look.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed even in that, man. Honestly, it just seemed like there's nothing going on. They would release some balls, they got some special packs. It was really, really poor. I mean, I don't know what I expected, because I knew I'd be disappointed anyway. But even for that, I was just is this it?
Yeah.
Is this it? This is what you're doing for the World Cup? Comparing it to previous years, it's just
they'll see. For me, they'll see in the numbers that people aren't as interested. I completely believe that.
Yeah.
The less people are playing it. So hopefully they do something about it for the next one in 4 years' time.
Oh, God.
Or 3.5 years' time, I suppose I should say.
Yeah.
As you say, we knew it was going to be terrible. Based around Ultimate Team again, is a good one to actually lead into my next, or the next review, which was from someone called Nobody. No, that's their name, not Nobody. Like their name was Nobody. And they said it would be nice if they integrated it into career mode and personalized themes depending on the country.
Yeah.
Which, it's centered around foot. Why is it when we do a career mode, if you're doing a national team and you get to the World Cup, why does it not have the presentation scheme, all that good stuff, all the stadiums and that? Although they've only got they don't even have all the stadiums in the game. So there is that as well. Although they can't be blamed for that one, I suppose, because they're still being built now, aren't they? whilst the people are sitting in and watching the games.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
But yeah, like again, like there's nothing for game modes, pro clubs,
It's
like
so
career
lazy.
mode, player career mode. It's all Ultimate Team. You've obviously got the side mode, but doesn't.
That's just like a custom tournament.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
like that's nothing.
It doesn't bring much value.
No, like that's such a good point integrating with the career mode. Imagine how good that would be, because
Oh
then
yeah,
you could carry on, and even if smallest things like a little animation for the Euros, little animation for the World Cup, like and like a backdrop of your country's flag or whatever, little
yeah,
things like that would add so much value to being
it
an
would.
international manager on career mode. But they're just so lazy, man.
Yeah.
They just can't be bothered.
I mean, they've known this is coming for 12 years, so you know,
Yeah,
could you not have implemented something like this along these lines
apparently
at
not.
least?
Ugh.
So yeah, I mean, we did have some more, but it was a lot of the same. Like people just don't like it really.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say.
no surprises. Yeah.
You know, I haven't, as I mentioned to you before, we went on air. I haven't played much of it at the moment. That's because I haven't started doing my content on the channel yet. When that does start, which is going to be this week as of recording this, then I'll be playing a lot more of it, and really see. But yeah, I know what it's going to be. I know I can,
You know what to expect.
bare bones. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just
So
played one game, got bored.
we should title the episode that.
I love that.
Yeah. So
Oh
yeah,
dear.
that rounds it off for the FIFA 23 World Cup DLC. Another disappointment from EA as always.
I'm gonna need a fun segment to pick me up here, Ash.
Well, luckily for you, I have got a fun segment to pick you up.
Oh yes.
That is because we have added a new segment into the podcast for this week. We're going to see how this goes. Looking forward to this. And it is called Higher or Lower. And you guys listening or watching will be able to join in with this as well. Now, what this segment entails is each week I will present a game. So this week we're doing Red Dead Redemption 2. And then I will mention 5 games after that, and Ash has to guess whether or not they sold more or less copies than the original game. So let's say, for example, this is just an example here. If I said Grand Theft Auto 5, and that would be like our main game, and then I said Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Ash
Lower.
would then have to guess whether Breath of the Wild sold more or less copies than Grand Theft Auto. Did you say lower?
I did.
I don't know the answer. I'll just use
And
that example.
he's correct.
I'll have to find that out though. I mean, at a guess, I reckon Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sold less than GTA. I thought GTA would have been like top 5, surely. GTA 5. So, yeah. The statistics I'm using are from the website VG Charts. So I think that's one of the more accurate ones. I did have a little search around. I have used this one in the past. I got some other sales statistics as well to kind of back up whether the statistics coming out of VG Charts was correct, and it seems so. I'm not actually going to say the figures of how much each game sold, because any of you who have a good memory, and if Ash also has a good memory, if we're doing this segment each week, you may remember the sales figures of previous games we've mentioned. So that's going to give you a bit of an advantage there. So I'm not going to mention the figures.
No cheating.
So, yes, no cheating. So the game this week is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Big game. Very good
That's
game.
massive. Oh, yes. Yes. And we have 5 games that, Ash, of course, you have to guess sold more or less than Red Dead Redemption 2. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, the first game is Mario Kart 8. Did that sell more or less copies than Red Dead Redemption 2? Remember, this isn't Mario Kart as a whole, this is just Mario Kart 8, which is the one that was on Nintendo Switch, and I think it was on the Wii U as well.
I do think that's the main Mario Kart that most people play, though. And my logic here is, whilst Red Dead Redemption 2 was a massive game, it hit the sort of core, not hardcore gamers, but like um, the mainstream gamers, whereas
Yeah.
Mario Kart I think is more of a universal game. So I
Yeah.
think more of a variety of people are going to buy Mario Kart. So I'm going higher for Mario Kart.
And that is correct.
Way
1 out of 1 so far.
1 out of 1.
Hopefully in post editing, well, actually, I'm on actually. I was going to add a tick noise, but I don't think that'd be right.
Ding! I'll do my own.
Yeah.
It's fine. Do my
Or
own
give it
sound
a family
effects.
fortunes. But
Yeah,
that might not be very nice for audio listeners with headphones on it. So I might
maybe not. Maybe
might
not.
leave that one on. So 1 out of 1. 4 more to go. Next, Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG for
Okay.
short, did that sell more or less copies than Red Dead Redemption 2?
So I know PUBG was, well, it was one of the first battle royale games that came out, right? Very
Well,
big.
yeah, the first real mainstream ones, yeah.
Yeah, very big. I don't think it got as many, so I'm going to go lower.
Eh-eh.
Oh, really? More than Red Dead
Yeah,
Redemption 2?
yeah, and quite
Blimey.
quite a lot more as well.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
My goodness. Yeah, I mean,
I mean it isn't too far off double.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know that really shocked me.
Wow. Yeah,
I
that's
think I
crazy.
think PUBG did quite well in Asia.
Did it? Okay.
I've
Yeah,
got a
it's got,
feeling.
because the thing is, I guess it's got a real competitive scene, doesn't it? Whereas Red Dead Redemption doesn't.
Yeah, precisely. And obviously, it's more of a westernized game, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Right, obviously
yeah.
the Wild West, you know.
The Wild West.
Yeah.
Yar.
Whereas PUBG, yeah, I've got a feeling it's quite popular in Asia. So yeah, that is 1 for 2.
1 for 2.
Next up, we have The Witcher 3.
The Witcher
Had to
3.
sneak it in there. Higher or lower? More or less sales than Red Dead Redemption 2?
So, both quite similar games in that they're like obviously a role playing experience, right?
Yeah. Open world.
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I'd say that Red Dead Redemption hit more of like the mainstream gamers, whereas The Witcher is more of a fancy genre. So
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go The Witcher 3 lower.
That is correct, mate.
Oh,
2 out of 3.
fantastic. 2 out of 3. Right.
2 out of 3.
Okay.
So,
Woo.
next up, we are sticking with the same company, same publisher.
Rockstar.
Grand Theft Auto 4.
Right.
Did that sell more or less copies than Red Dead Redemption 2?
Nico, we're going bowling.
Yeah.
um, so
Ugh.
GTA, obviously 5 was a lot bigger than 4, but 4 was still massive. Did it do more or less than
Tough
Red
one.
Dead
I thought this would be
Redemption?
the toughest one.
It's a really tough one. It is a really tough one. I'm gonna say GTA higher.
That is incorrect.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Red Dead outsold it by nearly double.
Really flipping
Yeah.
heck. Okay. It just
Yeah.
shows how well. It feels really weird. It feels like GTA 5 is so much bigger than GTA 4 was at its
Yeah.
time. I guess that's because of
100%.
GTA Online, maybe.
Partly that, but I think also it did a lot of things that kind of revolutionized gaming and stuff. I remember when
Mm,
it first came out and it was like, whoa, like you can use a credit card and stuff, and like it's all things like that, like the ultra realism that it had at the time.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you can withdraw money from your bank, and like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Invest in
think it got
stocks
people
and
talking about it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's that. Plus, obviously, Red Dead, like obviously the video game industry is getting bigger, isn't it? Like, more people are buying games and stuff. So
Very
like,
true. Yeah. So the time is very yeah, relevant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then people probably bought it a second time when it came out on PC, like a year later.
Mm,
Which
yeah.
I don't think GTA you can play on PC, can you?
GTA?
GTA 4.
I think so. I think I had the
Oh,
disc
can
back in
you?
the day. Yeah.
Oh, for PC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair
I
enough.
think so.
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Right. So that's 2 out of 4.
Gotta make this
50%
last one
conversion
count.
ratio. Can you get? I think that can be classed as a dub if you get 3 out of 5 if you're over halfway.
Yeah, yeah. A
So we're
pass.
gonna find out. Yeah.
Yeah,
A C.
yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah.
So the entire Guitar Hero franchise,
Oh my days.
every
Okay.
single copy,
Whew.
they sell more or less than Red Dead Redemption 2.
So, Guitar Hero, big franchise. I'm thinking it's not as easy to get into because you've also got to buy the gadgets as well. You got to buy like the guitar, got to buy sometimes
Yeah.
the drum kit. It's a bit of a
Although
sort of
remember, it also was on like DS and stuff with the little pad.
yeah, okay. Still, I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna say Red Dead scored more, sold more copies.
And than the entire Guitar Hero franchise.
Yep,
Really?
that is what I'm going for.
You're going to go with that?
Yep,
Sure about that?
yep.
Well, you're correct.
Yay!
Did sell more than the entire Guitar Hero
Wow,
franchise.
that is amazing.
It's pretty crazy when you put it into that context, considering how many copies there were,
I know.
through the years.
Wow, just
But
shows how big it is, right?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah, definitely.
amazing.
So, 3 out of 5. That's a fun segment. That is. I really like that. We would love to do that again next
Yeah,
episode.
absolutely. And you can obviously play along at home as well.
Exactly, which is one of the reasons why I think this could be a good segment to do. If
Absolutely.
you guys are playing along at home, please do let us know.
Let us know how you
many you
did.
got.
Yeah. Did you
Without
beat me?
searching on Google, yes. Without pausing it and searching.
Yeah, come on.
Other search engines are available.
None of that. Oh, I got 5 out of 5. 100% every time.
Oh, dear me. So,
none of that.
that rounds it off for that week.
Love it.
On to our next segment. We are moving on to another newly added segment that we did feature last time out, and that is why you should play. Each week, we suggest one video game that you guys should consider playing. And this week, we want to talk about Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. A nice sort of, it's got a very peaceful, sort of chilled atmosphere, doesn't it? Chilled vibe.
Really feel good, happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the examples of games not needing like amazing graphics, but having an established art style and doing it well.
Precisely. It is kind of the 8-bit kind of retro feel, but it just suits the game. It's art direction, as you mentioned, didn't it? As we were speaking about.
Exactly. From Lovre and who else did it?
Adam.
And Adam. Shout out.
Yeah. So, for anyone who hasn't played Stardew Valley, I'm going to give a quick disclaimer. This is not the sort of game I would play at all, but I've sunk a lot of hours into it. You've also played it, Ash, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's a game. It's a kind of like a farming simulator, I guess. You start with nothing. You move to a quiet town from the city. You inherit. I think it's your grandfather's old farm. It's battered. It's beaten up. It's decrepit. There's nothing there.
The grandpa or the farm?
Well, the grandpa's dead.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
And ultimately, you have to kind of clear the farm. You develop it. You design it. Give it a refresh. You're planting crops. You're putting in buildings and stuff. Get complete free reign to design it how you please. And then along the way, you've got this town. You're interacting with people, developing stories. Lots of different characters. You can do all sorts of stuff as you. It's got like a narrative. There are lots of people with different kind of storylines and stuff like that, and the overarching narrative of you moving to obviously this town and stuff, and becoming the farmer and that. But there's a whole lot more to it than that. It's really addictive, really compelling gameplay. You can do a whole lot of things. It's not just about planting crops. Go fishing, cooking, constructing. You can go into the mines, which does also entail a little bit of combat because you have to, of course, fight off all sorts of manner of creatures. Is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Obviously you have a house on the farm. You can build that out. You can expand it with a kitchen, with a nursery, because you can get married and have kids. Yes.
Amazing.
There's really a whole lot to this game. Extremely fun.
I really
And
like the timely events. So it goes through the seasons, doesn't it?
yes,
And
yes,
there's events in certain seasons. Like I believe there's a festival or like a
yeah. Each
um
time, really, yeah. Each
yeah.
season,
There's like an egg hunt. There's different
yeah.
fun things like that. It's got little things that are just like really fun additions to the game.
You're constantly getting objectives. Like someone will drop you a message like, "Can you grow me a certain amount of like plants or whatever?" And then they'll give you money as a result. Obviously, you're looking to upgrade your tools and stuff, be it pickaxes, swords, sprinklers, all that stuff.
Yep.
Um, there is so much to do, and it's extremely addicting, I think is the word. Because I've sunk a lot of hours into it. My girlfriend has. You're able to play online together in the same world, share a farm.
Yep.
So we've been able to do that. That's absolutely massive.
Have you named
Um,
your farm?
yeah, we did. It was called the White Ribbon Farm because obviously at the time we were
Okay,
both
yeah.
working at White Ribbon,
Love
which is
that. Love that.
a charity for listeners who don't have a clue what I'm talking about. So I mean that's it. Like we still play on that game, still playing that save now,
Yeah.
and we started it like 2 years ago.
So,
You know,
are you married to each other, or have you both gone off and
no, it
married
doesn't.
other
Yeah,
people?
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't work like that. You can't marry
No,
another
no
human,
player.
fortunately. But we haven't gone our separate ways. We've
You've
you know
stayed loyal.
kept it in house. Yeah, yeah. Stayed loyal. Yeah. I mean, it's just really good. I mean, I don't think I've done the best job of explaining it really, but this is what I wanted to achieve when I said this isn't the sort of game I usually play, but it's really good. And the most impressive thing about it is that it was made by one man, just
One
one
man.
man, for 5 long years. I've actually got a book written by Jason Schreier, journalist and kind of a video games author, who goes through like the development cycles of a range of different games. And one of the chapters is Stardew Valley, and he talks about it. And he was there for like 5 years, just like chucking away, doing it all himself. And it's so impressive that this has been done by one person. It really is.
Yeah, it's
Developed
crazy, isn't it?
such a fun game. I'll throw it over to you, Ash. Like any kind of thoughts you've got on the game overall?
Yeah, just the feeling of we've spoken a lot about development, and whilst it's not character development, uh, you're developing your farm, you're growing your farm.
Yeah,
Um, there's a bit of economics, isn't there? Like choosing which crops to grow and in which
yeah.
season
In which
and
seasons?
stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, you
Um,
can't grow stuff in winter or not much stuff and things like that.
exactly. So it's got so many little details that are so good, and obviously you are getting this impression that you're progressing and you're
Hmm.
growing your farm, making more and more crops, you're making it more and more efficient, getting more and more wives. um, it's like and yeah, it's got so many different little gameplay, like you say, a little bit of combat in there with the mining and stuff.
Yeah,
It's just got a little bit of everything, and
yeah,
it's just the thing that really hits me is the music and the vibe. It's so chilled out.
yeah. Really feel
Um,
good, positive.
yeah, and the art style, as we've said, is brilliant. So
Yeah,
yeah, really, really recommend. Like nice chilled out experience,
it's
but one
it's
that's
very
fulfilling.
very cheap, not full priced at all. It's on sale a lot these days as well.
Yeah,
If I just check on Steam now, actually, very very quickly, it is currently on Steam £10.99.
bargain.
So yeah, and you will get if you do get into it, you'll get tons and tons of hours because it's one of them you just sink time into. Um, so yeah, really fun game, and even if you don't play that genre like I don't, I think you could enjoy it. I really do.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for a wife or a husband, perfect place.
Yeah, get them in a virtual world.
Exactly.
Oh dear me. Right then, on to the final segment of the podcast. We want to talk about which games we've been playing
What we've been playing.
over the past 2 weeks, really, because obviously it's been 2 weeks since we last recorded
Yep.
an episode. So I'm going to throw it over to you first, mate. What have you
Right.
been up to?
So speaking about sort of cheap kind of indie titles that don't have like big corporations behind them, I've been playing a game called Soulstone Survivors.
Yeah.
Now, this game has been a revelation for me in a way because I've been looking for like a roguelike experience where you go into sort of a level with a fresh character, no skills, and gradually build up, and then you die and it all resets and you go again. But you can invest points in sort of the overall gameplay. So how this game works is you've got choice of different. Again, it's a fantasy sort of style, as you can
Hmm.
tell. That's got sort of a staple for me. So you've got these different
Yeah.
characters. You've got sort of knights, and you've got like spellcasters, and you've got archers, the classic stuff. So you pick one of these, and you go into this game. And I don't know if anyone's played Diablo or a style of game like that. It's sort
Hmm.
of like an eagle eye view, and you've got a ton of enemies, and you're this like really powerful character who can obviously kill tons of these like goblins and different creatures. And as you go through these levels, you level up, you get new abilities, you upgrade abilities, and you get more powerful until eventually you've got like bosses that come through.
Yeah.
Um, and eventually you get into these insane combos because you keep leveling up, keep leveling up, keep leveling up, and it gets crazy because the more and more creatures are coming in. There's hundreds of thousands of these like creatures, and you're just like shooting all your arrows and casting all your spells, and it is super super fun. Um, it's sort of a retro art style again, sort of like quite
Well, I was
I'd
going to say, when I looked at the pictures and stuff, the art style looked quite clean. It looked visually, like, aesthetically pleasing.
yeah, absolutely. It's like For the King style,
Yeah.
or like what was that you said, Human Fall Flat? They did the same
Yeah.
game. It's that kind of style, but it's done really well. It looks really nice, and the gameplay is so much fun. Honestly,
Yeah.
it when you see all these like big numbers coming out as you're doing all this damage, really fun. And some of the combos, obviously, all these different characters have different combos, different play styles, so it's got tons of replayability.
Does the
And
combat get repetitive at all, or does it? Do you find that?
no, not really, because each game is different, and you go in as one character. I think if you played the same character over and over again, it definitely would. But that's not what I do. I go into a game, play as one character, eventually die, and then you can put points into upgrading the overall sort of like XP modifier for all your runs. So you've got
Yeah.
like this progression in that sense, because you get a currency as you play. And then I just go into a different character who's got a different play style, and then because you get a choice of three, you're almost never going to have the same abilities or the same upgrades as you did before. So every game
Yeah.
is different. So super, super replayable for sure. And
Is there
because
like
of
a
the
multiplayer mode, or is it
I
single player only
don't
at the moment?
I don't think there is at the moment, unfortunately. That would be a super good addition. Um but no, at the moment it's just a single player experience. But I have been loving it. And it's another one of those, £8 I think it was. Just the
Yeah,
amount
£8.99 on Steam,
£8
which is
99.
yeah,
The amount of fun I've got out of it is value for money. It's brilliant. Um, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. Really, I'm keeping an eye out for these like indie titles that are less than a tenner, because
yeah.
I think that's that's how you get sort of value for money these days. You look out for these like solid titles.
And they're going to put more care and
Exactly, they care
into
about
their
their
game,
game
and
rather than just
yeah,
milking you dry, basically. Um, but yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. I've been loving it. A bit of a different one, but it's really like for a roguelike experience, it has really just hit the nail on the head for me.
yeah. It looks decent, mate. I'll be honest with you. It looks like something I could. Oh, I've actually just added it to my wish list.
Have you?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
super good.
eight
You'll
pound ninety nine. It seems worth a bash, doesn't it? Like,
absolutely.
you know.
You'll have to watch me play it just like to see
Yeah, I will. You have to stream it.
how crazy it goes.
Yeah,
It's super fun. But yeah, so that is what I've been playing this week, mate. How
yeah.
about yourself?
So I have taken a bit of a blast from the past. I'm playing a game called Mafia 1.
Oh my goodness. So
It
sorry,
is,
when did that come out originally?
well, the original one came out in 2002,
Okay, they did a
but
remastered, did they?
yes, they remastered all three of the three Mafia games out at the moment. They remastered them all in when was it now?
Oh, ho, ho.
Um, trying to think when it was. Get the store page up on Steam. 2020.
2020, so yeah.
So a couple of years ago. And with the remaster, like the Definitive Edition, it wasn't just a case of remastering the graphics. They did a lot of changed a lot of combat and stuff, kind of a lot of mess around with a lot of the functions in the game and certain elements of it, things along those lines, combat system and that. It wasn't just a kind of reskin. It was
Mm.
there was more to it than that. They kind of re-recorded a lot of the dialogue and stuff. So it's a game where, as we spoke about earlier, it doesn't have the kind of meaningful choices and the dialogue. But it has a really good, compelling story, and that's what kind of pulls you in. With the Mafia games, I've played them all. Never completed Mafia 1. So this will be the first time I do complete it, hopefully. And really enjoying it so far. Again, it's a compelling story. It pulls you in from the fact that with the story you've got great voice acting, you've
Mm.
got great scenes, really nice visuals in those cutscenes. So that kind of makes you want to keep on playing. Again, I'm kind of a bit of a fan, fan of the Mafia. I mean, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
interested in the Mafia and
I
stuff.
was gonna say it's a great vibe. The Mafia is like a great like topic or
Yes.
subject to do a game on, sort of thing.
Yes, it is, and you've got a lot of different eras within the Mafia, and the Mafia games are doing a good job of covering them because in Mafia 1, it's in the time of I can't remember what the word is for it now. There's the actual word for the era, but it's during and just after the Great Depression. So you're looking at the 20s and the 30s, 1920s
Okay,
and
yeah.
30s America. Then Mafia 2 goes into the 1940s and 50s, and then with Mafia 3 you go into the late 1960s. And so you're covering different time periods and things that are very, very different. So that's really, really fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's the remaster because I tried to play the original a few years ago, and it was really hard. I didn't like it at
Yeah.
all. It was dated, like it showed. The remaster really picks things up massively. Um, and so if anyone, is interested in that sort of Mafia storyline, the element, the scene and stuff, and all that thing, all that jazz, definitely something I think you should give a bash. The biggest problem with the game itself is that it doesn't have a true open world experience. Because what I mean by that is, whilst it is an open world, you're only experience it in missions. You don't have like saying GTA or something. When you go and do a mission, you complete the mission, you get put back into the open world,
Oh,
and you're just kind
really?
of free to do as you do. Yeah, free to do as you please. Go and do a whole lot of stuff. In Mafia, it is still mission to mission, but it's like an open world within that mission.
So you're always
Um,
doing something essentially.
yeah, basically, yeah, you're always doing a mission. Now they do have a free mode, but that's on the main menu. It's like in a different part of the game, so
Okay.
it doesn't actually link in with the story properly. So yeah, I do wish they'd have done something about that. I think it really needed. Like Mafia 3 does have that. Um and obviously they fixed that, but with Mafia 1 and 2 they didn't have that, which is that is definitely the biggest disappointment I think for me.
Mm.
But it's not enough to make me not want to play. Like I say, the storyline, the visuals, the acting, generally the gameplay, very fun. So yeah, I would absolutely suggest that.
No, yeah. I mean, it's a super game, like that kind of um GTA Saints Row vibe, but in a mafia setting, right?
Yeah.
You're going through missions. Yeah, it's really strong series for sure.
With regard to the storyline itself, it's in the first one you're like a taxi driver who gets in with the mob and stuff and goes from there, and then things fall apart and he wants to try and get out. You know, Mafia 2, again, a soldier comes back from the war, gets in with the mob. Mafia 3 plays a lot more on kind of a realistic vibe because you play someone called Lincoln Clay who's kind of mixed race, and he comes back from Vietnam and he's experiencing like racism and stuff. And he kind of gets double crossed and falls into organized crime and stuff. So there are a whole lot of topics and a lot of variation in between each one. So really, really fun to play with. And yeah, having a lot of fun with it. Looking forward. Hopefully I can complete it this time. Again, I think there's a lot of potential with the Mafia games that they haven't like utilized. You know, they could have been a lot better than what they were. I think a lot of people know that, but still isn't enough to kind of turn you off playing them. So yeah, that's Mafia 1.
Very good choice.
Not bad at all. And with that being said, I think that just about rounds it off for the show.
Yeah, 1 hour. Yeah, just over an hour.
Yeah, an hour 10 minutes or so.
It's been a good one, mate.
Yeah, not bad at all. Really enjoyed this one. Let us know, guys, if you got any feedback with regard to the segments and stuff. Really enjoyed these segments. Hopefully we are filling out the podcast now with some good content. Next week, we've got a few kind of big things going on in the video games industry, so I think we are probably going to talk about them. But as we have always said, kind of just let us know if there's anything you want to mention, if you want to talk about, anything you want to ask us on all the social media accounts, Twitter, Ash Bros Podcast, YouTube. You can get at us on either Brommer18 YouTube or the Ash Bros Podcast YouTube. You can email us, ashbrospodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, and let us know feedback on the segments as well. What did you like? What didn't you like? Like,
yeah,
because
we're
gonna work with you to try and make this as entertaining as possible. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just let us know. Get involved.
Yeah. And most importantly, what I haven't mentioned, and I really wish I did at the start, is rate and review the podcast if you are listening on podcasting apps. That is the biggest thing that you can do, other than sharing it with your friends, obviously, and telling them to listen.
Review.
Yes, rate and review the podcast. That's what's going to boost us up a little bit and let more people know. I haven't checked the analytics over the last week or so I don't know if we're still the highest rated podcast, video games podcast in Ghana.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
But hopefully we are.
Hopefully.
And yeah, so please do. It'll keep us going up those rankings, those ratings, and that's just a golden, absolutely golden. So on that note, Ash, we're going to call it a day.
Sounds good, mate. Thank you very much, especially if you've listened to here. Well done.
Yeah,
I hope you've enjoyed.
It. And hopefully we can keep bringing you content that hopefully you will enjoy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the idea.
And so, yeah, we're going to call it a show there. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Again, don't forget to subscribe, follow the podcast, rate, review, get at us on all those social media platforms. And until next time, we are going to round it off there. Thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
Thank you. See ya.